Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel and welcome back to Tazewell County, Illinois. Thanks for stopping back by. This is episode number 6 and look at what we have up there in the upper left hand corner of the screen. No, I'm not talking about the wet crop situation, although we do have to keep that into consideration. I am talking about the 50-degree minimum soil temperature on game day 5 of mid-spring. So we are going to get right to work here with starting planting our corn and our soybeans. Now, as you know, just to kind of catch you up to speed here, we of course have already planted our wheat. We've planted our grass. Our grass is growing quite well actually here around the barn, the equipment storage area. That is fantastic. I've made a couple of equipment changes as well. I've got to believe it on the sim station. I was watching a video that he released here. Let me get connected here where I can concentrate just a little bit. Was watching a video that he released just today actually, and of course I'm recording this episode on Friday evening the 19th of January, and he released this episode just today, like I said, and it was more or less how to properly seed on this map, looking at the various odd-shaped fields and such as that. And part of his, I guess, part of his examples in seeding and everything was how do you sort of navigate these green islands, these grass islands of such. Do you take each of these segments, each of these fields sort of independent, or do you sort of drive over the green areas, whatever the case might be? Anyway, the proper way to do it was actually to drive over the green areas. He talked about you don't even have to basically take the time to lift the seeder or anything like that. Just basically drive right over it. It's the ground is so hard, the green areas or the grassy areas are so hard because they haven't been plowed or tilled for years, he described. And so as a result, basically, because of the grass will basically take over the grass will basically take over the anything that you would actually plant in those fields. And if we look at our larger map here, and it might be a little easier to see it if we bring up this view here, you can kind of see, and we're actually going to start with field number 6. This was the field that he actually demonstrated in his video. And field number 6, as you can kind of see, does have some segments. It's got some of the drainage mitigation areas in it. So we're going to basically do that and have some fun while doing it as well. So anyway, I have made some equipment changes. I think I talked to you all maybe the last episode. I showed you the new John Deere European model that I found that I actually liked quite a bit. Well, actually, I found a USA model. So if I jump out and jump back in, this is the 7R PVX 9 USA model. So that is what we're going to more or less go with. And what a fantastic model it actually is. I'm quite enjoying that. And so let's go ahead and we're going to get started seeding our corn for the very first time on Tazewell County. Now, obviously, our corn and our soybeans are going to be our chief crops that we're going to be obviously selling for profit, hopefully for profit. And so it's cool to get these in the ground, actually now, and of course, hopefully they will grow quite well. And so yeah, so he just sort of talked about the fact that we wouldn't even bother lifting up the seeder when we drive across this area. Just basically don't worry about it and continue proceeding on down to the rest of field number 6. Field number 6 is just right up here, the rest of it. And so the seeder just kind of goes along, and he even talked about the fact that you more or less harvest the same way. Just keep going, get your course, everything plotted in, and just drive like a boss, more or less. So that's what we're going to do. And, you know, I'm going to rely on him being the expert. Obviously, he grew up in this area. His parents still own this farm area. And so, yeah, so he knows what he's talking about. And I'm just an IT guy, as I often say. So hope everyone is having a wonderful, wonderful day. Hope you all are enjoying the new schedule. I've talked about that in previous episodes. We do have, let me just pause for just a moment here and let me get this scooted over just a little bit here where I can lock into GPS and do that, and we'll get rid of those lines again, just like that. And off we go again. Locking into GPS, I can give you guys a little bit more camera angles and stuff like that to enjoy. So this is also a new row crop seeder as well. Again, I blame it on the sim station. I saw him using this, and actually I thought, well, if he can use it, if it's more realistic gritty, I will also grab it and try to make it work the same. And it works pretty well. I've obviously have used the larger, this is the DB60, I believe. This is a row crop seeder. And so we are off of field 6, so let's go ahead and lift our seeder up and we'll make our turn. I have used the DB90 because, again, I think it's a little bit nicer perhaps than the DB90. Certainly looks a little bit cleaner and everything, and so that's really cool. And so again, off we go here, planting corn, getting our corn into the ground. This is pretty much a milestone. I like to kind of do obviously cover the first, getting the first seeds in the ground, and of course we'll do some of this work off camera just to keep it from getting too monotonous and everything for you guys at home watching, or watching from wherever you happen to be watching from. And but we'll cover quite a few of getting the corn fields planted, and then also getting the soybean fields planted as well. And yeah, I'm quite looking forward to continuing to play this map, and of course I'm still enjoying the other maps that we're playing as well. Midtown USA and Thornton Farm are just incredible maps, and having a lot of fun with those maps, and having a lot of fun with some of this new equipment as well. Get us a rolling screenshot here. Might as well. And I tell you what, we'll just keep with this straight line, and I'll come back along and fill in this gap here that's being left here to the right of us. Our animals should be ready to bring to the main farm here any day now. Maybe later this afternoon we'll get Billy Bob to take care of those for us and get those here to the main farm, at least the cows. I'm not sure if the pigs are ready yet. And more or less the way that we're going to manage animals on this map is we're going to, obviously our cows will be our dairy animals, and so we will more or less keep most of those cows. As we have new cows born, we'll keep those with the pigs. We're probably going to set a start amount that we're going to start with the pigs, and then as new pigs are born, obviously we may consider selling those because, you know, pigs are a little hard to make money with here, especially with seasons. And off we go again. So I had mentioned in the previous episode, I talked about field number, I believe it was field number 9, that we had actually forgotten to plow and fertilize, more or less get that field opened up. We had failed to do that. And we went ahead and leased field number 9 to another farmer. I sort of figured, well, field number 9 is fairly large. It does wrap around and covers quite a good amount of territory back there, and I sort of figured that, well, with with essentially 9 fields planted, 4 fields in corn and 5 fields in soybean, plus our essentially 2.5 wheat fields, plus our grass and everything, I think we're going to have more than enough to keep ourselves busy. And of course, don't forget, I'm managing two other series on this channel as well. Now, of course, Thornton Farm is kind of at a point to where that it is winding things down, at least for the first year. Not sure if we'll do a second year on that. I still haven't made up my mind. I know that there's a lot of folks that are enjoying that season, so maybe if you really are enjoying that season or that series and you want me to continue, maybe let me know that, and that way I'll kind of gauge my interest on things. But I'm kind of thinking that once we get into the harvest season on Midtown USA, which hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to be able to start harvesting that wheat and barley, things are really going to get quite busy, because it's going to take a lot longer to harvest than it more or less does pretty much anything else on the map. But we'll see how it goes, and just as long as it's fun, as long as I'm having fun, then obviously I'll continue to do things. But you know, maybe it's time to wind down Thornton Farm. I know a lot of folks have played that map. A lot of folks have obviously watched series on that, other YouTube series and such, and so we'll take a look at it and see what sort of makes sense, and makes sense for both you and me, you the viewer and me the content creator. From what I understand, this DB60 row crop seeder, each of these seed heads have independent movement, which could be a problem with some lower end computers. I've got a pretty beefy gaming machine myself, and so I'm not seeing any lag or any performance hits at all with it. And it's quite an impressive looking piece of kit. And again, I'm quite pleased that I saw the SimStation using it, and I was able to find it on one of the mod download sites. If you're interested in this mod, just check my mod spreadsheet. Just go to grizzlybearsims.com and take a look at that, and you'll find it under the seeder section. And this is the DB60, and the DB90 is just a bigger row crop seeder, I think. It's the DB60, and then the DB90 is a little bit bigger. Making progress. Had a busy day today at work, busy day in the office, and I actually kind of feel a little bit tired as a result of that. So I'm thinking that this is probably going to be a relatively short episode. Just kind of wanted to get this process documented, sort of take advantage of letting you all see some of the new equipment that we have on the map, as well as sort of celebrating the fact that we are planting our real crops, our crops that we're going to be hopefully turning into cash that will continue to fund operations here on the farm. Gotta love it. Got more weekend plans this weekend. Gonna finish up the tiling project on the fireplace. If you have been watching my previous episodes, you know that I've been talking a little bit about that fireplace project. We basically did the demo one weekend, we tiled it last weekend, and this weekend we're gonna do the grout work, as well as I've got some trim to put up, some baseboards to put up to basically finish up that room. And as I was talking to a few folks on Discord today, and I think I posted a note on Discord about the fact that I was basically looking forward to getting the getting the living room back looking like a living room instead of a construction zone. It was quite, it's been quite a ride. Now this isn't a room that we use every day. It's I guess if you want to call it a formal living room, even though that's a little bit of a stretch for me because I don't really consider myself to be a formal kind of person, but it is sort of our fancy living room. It is the living room that if we have company or whatever, that's more or less where we entertain folks. And it is obviously the room that has the fireplace in it. We don't have a fireplace in our what we consider to be our family room or sort of our everyday TV room and such as that. So we don't have a fireplace in there. And it's just kind of funny because one might think, well, you might want to use the room that has the fireplace in it more everyday stuff. Well, Denver has most of the days we have a fire ban anyway, so we don't really burn our fireplace that much. And then the other deal is it's on the side of the house that tends to be the coldest. So in the wintertime, it is a quite colder room, and so we tend to stay in the family room, which is a lot warmer. And of course, that's where we have our TV, and it's just off the kitchen and everything else. And so all of that is how it goes. Perhaps you guys have similar situations. All right, we'll go ahead and pick up and head on down, and I'll fill in this other end and then do the end of that, and then we're going to wrap this episode up. So I'm probably going to give you a little bit of time to do some other things. My apologies for kind of being a bit, I think I'm a bit tired, and I think I'm a bit dry. I think I'm a bit off maybe with this episode, and I'll do my best to try to make it up to you future episodes. That is kind of the deal that does happen. But in order to try to put out some episodes, I need to try to keep my queue situation going. And that perhaps might be another reason why I might bring Thornton Farm to a close at the end of this winter, just to kind of help slow the pace down just a little bit, so I'm not having to make as many episodes per week. Because again, kind of once we get into the harvest season, both on this map, because obviously we're running a large number of fields, and also on Midtown USA, and of course if we get lucky on Midtown USA and we get the chance to plant soybeans into those wheat and barley fields, we're going to be doing a whole lot of harvesting, because I would sort of think that once we start harvesting those wheat fields, we're going to get those done, get those fields turned back around, get soybeans put into those fields. My guess is pretty soon after we get that done, the crops like canola, and I think we've got some sunflower on that map, maybe those are going to start coming in and be available to harvest. And then of course once we get that done, get those fields cleaned up and everything, it will be time hopefully to start harvesting those soybeans. Time flies when you're having fun, and of course I love Farm Sim 17, and I know you all do as well. And I am really looking forward to what Giants has in store for us with regards to Farm Sim 19, and I've often shared a lot of my thoughts and a lot of my hopes and everything as far as what I hope is in Farm Sim 19. One thing that I've got to say that I would really like to see, and of course I've talked about the fact that I wish that they would more or less sort of mold in some of the mods, some of our favorite mods that we really enjoy, things like maybe courseplay, maybe seasons, maybe GPS mod, etc. But I would like to see them give us a little bit more flexibility with animal types. And when I talk about animal types, I'm sort of talking about cows specifically. I wish that we could have actually cattle, like raising cattle for feed purposes, instead of being locked into a dairy situation. Be able to actually have cows for feed purposes. And that would, I think that would be just really cool to be able to basically have, if you could envision this map here, this would be a good map to be able to do this on. You have some of these fields in the back, what we might consider to be the back 40. We have some of these fields that are sort of destined to be fenced off, and those are like grazing pastures and everything, and you have quite a few head of cattle here, there, and everywhere, and then you maybe got to kind of manage them and go back into the back 40 to feed, that sort of stuff. That could be really, really cool to be able to manage that and kind of get out of the dairy business. Not that we have to eliminate the dairy operations, because I'm sure some folks do enjoy running the dairy operations. I enjoy running the dairy operations, but I would like to have some flexibility to perhaps be able to do something like typical ranching, where we've got to manage our cattle just a little bit differently from what we would be used to with regards to our dairy standard dairy operations. But I don't know, what do you think? Anyway, so I think what I'm going to do here is I am going to start wrapping things up here. I'm going to go ahead and plant this field in corn and do the majority of this off camera, or maybe I'll hire one of the boys to do this for us as well, and do some other things that need to get done on the map to kind of move the series along. But I will just thank you all so much for watching my episodes coming out, and leaving comments, being subscribers, hitting the like button, all that kind of stuff. I really do appreciate that. And I hope that for those of you who are active in watching my episodes, when you have questions and everything, I try to answer those questions in the comments as quickly as possible. I hope that you appreciate that. I know that there's some folks out there that run small channels, run medium channels, run big channels that almost never respond to their comments, or their comments are very short, or their answers are very vague. One of the things that I wanted to do from more or less the get-go of starting this channel was to make sure that regardless of if I had 25 subscribers or I had 1,200 subscribers, which by the way, today, the 19th of January, the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel did hit the 1,200 subscriber mark, so I appreciate that. I appreciate all of you guys that have subscribed. But basically, I would try my best to manage the channel regardless of whether I had 25 viewers or 1,200 viewers. Your questions are very important to me. This is why I do this, is to help answer questions, to help further the interests of this wonderful game further within, to the masses and everything, to you all. So that's why I do this. Hope you all appreciate that, and don't forget to check out the other folks that I have listed down below the video. Those guys are my friends, and they put out wonderful, wonderful content, and you won't be disappointed at all in their content and in their channels. And with that, folks, I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. Take good care of yourselves and take good care of each other, and God bless you all. And thank you for hanging out with me on this Friday evening, the 19th of January. Of course, you're going to be watching this episode a little bit later in the month. I think by the time you're watching this, it's going to almost be February, towards the end of January, I think, if the schedule holds true. And so I appreciate you all again, and I look forward to seeing you all back either here on Tazewell County or on Midtown USA, or over on Thornton Farm with Mr. Thornton, Thomas, Smithy, and Sid. We all say hello. We all say thank you for stopping by, and I will stop talking now because I'm blabbering. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.